Hello everybody, this is Bill Becht from the Oars Forward website. And this is our latest vlog on the six-pack that we've been covering. And we're covering actually the first section in more detail now. These are best practices that successful sales teams, high-performance sales teams incorporate, and we have found to be very beneficial for increasing the communication and the productivity of our sales team. We're going to be covering all 6 parts in various order, and we're going to be talking about the details of these things, and we're going to be showing some of the the typical practices of sales teams, because some of them incorporate and use some of these, and then the high performance teams practices, best practices that have been found to really work well here. The very first item that we're going to be covering is the one-on-one meetings. I personally feel that this is the most important of all of the six-pack items, because it really is a deep dive into one-on-one communication between the sales coach and the team member. And the common practice is to have one-on-one meetings when you need to have them, when something happens, and so they're often not scheduled. They're just very reactive. They happen when something comes up and something needs to be talked about immediately. They tend to have no agenda. It's just really kind of rambling on about what is happening and why this one-on-one meeting is being called. They usually only discuss metrics. The metrics of, say, how the sales are against budget, or what's going on in pipeline, a particular project and what's been happening with that. And these because they're metric oriented, there's not a lot of room for increasing that communication. In addition, the manager or coach is usually the one that's communicating the feedback afterwards. And so they take responsibility if this is part of the action cycle and there's action items that have been asked for. The coach takes responsibility for putting that together and then sends out kind of bullet points from the meeting. So what are the best practices for one-on-one meetings? Well, the best practice we found is that they should be scheduled, and they should be scheduled at a minimum weekly. We found weekly meetings to be really helpful, and there are some individuals on the team that would like to have their meetings on Friday. They like to have the meetings on Friday because they can review with their coach things that have gone on during the week, and while it's still fresh in their minds. Then there are others that would prefer to have a one-on-one meeting on Monday. That's because they do a lot of reflection and summary work of their week during the weekend, and then they come back and are ready to discuss the upcoming week and the previous week with their sales coach. One thing I'd like to add here is that this is a time commitment for a sales coach. Each of our one-on-one meetings take approximately 40 minutes to 60 minutes. So there's a lot of things that are discussed during these meetings, so you should allot the time accordingly as a sales coach. You know, each individual team member only does it for maybe an hour, but the coach might have to commit 6 or 7 hours depending on how many people you have on your team. They should have a flexible agenda. So there should be specific items that are listed in there. We use sheets ourselves like a template so that we cover off on various items but the amount of time that you spend on the individual items can vary depending on what is happening. They should include some personal connections, personal information that goes on with the sales team member. And this is actually a two-way street, so the coach can actually give some personal information as well during the one-on-one meeting. This also helps in building trust and developing good communications. The representative really should be responsible for communicating any of the takeaway items, action items from the action cycle that are requested that come up during the meeting. We also have a section on our sheets for action items that had been discussed for the week before, and they are updated during the following one-on-one meeting. So the one-on-one meeting should contain some personal updates. This helps in relationship building. They should review the week's activities, what's gone on, weekly wins, the challenges, what could be coming in the upcoming week. If they need some type of advice with that, they can ask the coach at that time. The progress towards their goals should be covered off. However, try to keep away from complete talking about metrics. Metrics are important. They can be covered off, but only a certain part of the one-on-one meeting should cover how the sales representative is doing against budget, or how the pipeline is looking. Get into what's more exciting and be able to talk about that. The next section is very important. That is an open-ended section is, what can I help you with? This is necessary because you're not sure what the team member is needing, and they can talk to you specifically about items that they would like some clarification on, some guidance on, and it may be something that goes on, taking it up different cross-sectional levels in the organization to help with getting an initiative passed. These are very important to the team member, and they become important to you as a sales coach. And also, last section is an open-ended item of, what do you want to talk about? So it doesn't just have to be what the coach is needing for help to that person, but also, what would you like to talk about? And sometimes there's very interesting conversations that come up just by asking this question. So that is the one-on-one meeting and some tips and information on that. If you'd like further information on this, we have a podcast on the one-on-one meeting that has been developed, and you can get and reach our podcasts on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and other podcast applications. Come and check out our website. The Oars Forward website has full of a lot of information that will be helpful for you in coaching your sales team. We'd be happy to talk to you about coaching your sales team and giving some further information. Please reach out and sign up for our newsletter to do this. I'll be looking forward to the next time that we get to meet. And until next time, I wish you good coaching and good selling.